I beat Ed and I want it.
I don't see the tweet.
I beat Ed and I want it.
It's under Ednar.
Oh, that's silly. I don't see the tweet.
I beat Ed and I want it. Hey, interesting here. You see how Ed's
It's under-
retweeting all these jersey giveaways for teams he apparently doesn't support? Interesting. Weird.
I'll take
Is
a
the
free
channel
jersey.
live?
We are live now.
Dear Twitch viewers, however one or two of you there may be, you understand how Ed apparently is such a diehard not diehard, take that back. Gives us crap for switching teams for things, but I have in front of me a Florida Mayhem jersey giveaway retweet and a Toronto Defiant jersey giveaway retweet.
Would you turn down a free Mayhem or a free Toronto Defiant jersey?
I don't think you're streaming, homeboy.
Oh, I'm on the webpage and it says start streaming. Stream is starting. Get ready.
Oh, okay. Do you have us muted?
Uh-huh.
Ed got
you
my
don't
back.
have us muted.
Oh, I don't? Whatever. We're going to start the show because we're going, off of our recordings.
Just a heads up. Whenever you go live, you always tell everybody. Like,
I said we were going live.
party foul.
No.
But
I said we were going live.
But it wasn't actually live.
But, all right, we're going live now.
Sweet.
Where's the tweet?
Wait. Hold on. Yeah, let me retweet it and fill up my drink.
And we can hear you.
Ed would be the guy to tweet it under HND and be like, "What?
Hey, Totem! All right, so Totem has given me the reins to the show tonight.
See the tweet, dude.
It's from under Edinar. Do you need me to tag you in my tweet?
Oh,
I am
did you
on your.
tweet
I am
it?
on your.
Yeah,
thing
I'm
right
on
now.
yours too. Like, what do you? Did you tweet it from?
At Edinar Overwatch. Are you guys not following me?
I follow you.
At Ednar Overwatch follows you, following.
All right, I'm gonna retweet this and tag both of you.
It's under retweets and replies is what it is because he retweeted
Did you-
himself, so that's why.
Okay, Ed. Twitter 101. You can never start with an at.
Oh,
An
yeah.
at doesn't actually put the tweet out. So, like, what you have to do is, if you're gonna start with an at, you put one single period before it.
Oh, so I have to
Bam.
go full on Trump with that. All right.
You learn something new every day, right?
Right? Like, I am not guaranteeing that this show will not be a shit show, but it's going to be fun.
Totem's just gonna look at the audio like 4 hours and just go.
Yep.
Yep. Screw it. We're ripping the Twitch VOD. We're ripping the Twitch VOD. And that's it.
Exactly. Tweak something. There you go.
Other requests of Soul Drink. Make Kariva support again for my sake, please.
No.
Yes.
Why?
So I can play him as a support because I have too many DPS already.
All right, fine. All right, we're going to officially start the show in 3, 2, 1. And welcome to OWL by the Numbers, episode 19. My name is Edinar, obviously not totally drunk. He let the madman run the house, run the asylum tonight. And I have my two crazy co-hosts with me tonight. First, starting off, I have Blazin' Bob. Blazin' Bob, how have you been? How's your week been?
Hey, the week's been pretty good. I was actually thoroughly entertained by all the games this weekend. Like, I actually watched almost every game, and I hadn't done that for a couple weeks prior to the break.
Yeah, no, it was a very exciting week. It's a very weird week, which we will get into because there's a lot of screwed up things that happened this week. So, but then we have our other co-host, the man I lost to this week. I'm admitting it to it.
It is on the audio record, Soul Drink. So when when all the changes go through tonight again, apparently, we all knew. You all knew.
I lost.
Hey guys,
I lost. So we have Ramsey joining us, the winner of the Ramsey's Ednar face-off this week. But we play each other this week again. So I have a redemption arc.
Well, my whole complaint is that, not complaint, I want to just fess up and say, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for telling you all, like, you can get rid of Surefour, you can get rid of Fleta. It's okay. They're never going to play the rest of the season. Like, it's cool. Go for it. And then as a hydration owner, I like starved to death this week. And as somebody,
We'll talk about that because I wouldn't go too far as to say Fleta and Surefour are startable at this point. We'll talk about that. But first, I want to take a point before we get into the fantasy discussions to thank all the people listening to us live on any podcast feeds or watching us live on Twitch, seeing the chaos that is Edinar in charge. So I appreciate all of that. So, come take a listen, and hope you don't hate what we're doing, because we are going to go off the rails starting in about 2 seconds now. So first and foremost, let's talk about all the craziness that happened. We had a bunch of new people show up, a bunch of debuts, some returning faces this week. Bob, why don't you take us through on who we saw debut and who we saw coming out of the woodwork to actually play this week?
Yeah, it was actually like quite a bit of differences, which might have pissed some people off if they were playing people that they were pretty sure they were going to play. But so Florida had Fate, got traded recently over there. He had his debut. Byram had his debut there.
Mm-hmm.
Seoul, we saw Highly and Illicit. Guangzhou Charge, we saw Nero. Chengdu Hunters, we saw Jamiroquai.
Thank you for getting that right. I have been calling him Jamiroquai for like 2 weeks now. It's Jamiroquai.
That's just what I saw when I looked at it. But Ramses, what is it?
Is Jichiren?
Okay, see, yeah, you don't even know.
Okay.
That was a question.
Okay. Yeah, I was just asking if you knew.
It's like, I'm Ron Burgundy.
Are you guessing? Like, we're guessing? Or do you know?
It's Jichiren. They said it like,
Okay.
I've seen the clips of them saying it.
But you can't trust the announcers. Come on.
And then with
Fred.
I always live by the rules that whatever the casters say is what I'm going to say. And like, it's a hard, fast rule that usually works, except for when Brigitte came out last year and all of them wanted to say it differently as a joke. But that's really the rule that I live by. What the players call themselves, I don't pay attention to that. But so, we have the LA Valiant, played Fact Fiction. Pretty good. London, Quartermain, which I was not expecting that. Boston, Persia. Toronto, Gods and Sharik. And NYXL, Sabiobi, season debut. I swore they put him in for like one map sometime earlier in the season. Okay. Thank you.
He played Brick for like one map.
Thank you, because I was thinking I was crazy when I read that. But he got to debut as DPS, and he got to play a lot of Sombra. So where do you want to go with this, Ed?
All right. So, I mean, out of all the people you named, Bob, who is going to stick around? Because not all of these players even played all the maps. So, like, Nero barely played at all. Highly and Illicit were in, so on and so forth. Outside of, I'd say, Sebiobi and Fate as being, like, return players, like, they were the people who were starters previously and just kind of came back. The rest of them are like new people. Out of the new people, who's going to stick around, and then who is going to be most fantasy relevant? Like, pick the two most fantasy relevant out of the outside of Fate and Sebiobi.
From who you didn't mention, I'm going to go with the obvious that's going to stay, and that's Fact Fiction.
Yeah.
He's going to be the main tank.
Fact is going to be.
That's not what you were asking.
Would you say that's a fact?
Or
and
fiction?
I like okay, so the Sabiobi pick that you chose is a little interesting because do we think that NYXL is going, okay, our goats can't beat San Fran and Titans. But
Cooper,
maybe
hey?
if we freaking work hard, our Sombra goats with this weird style Sabiobi played well, maybe they're going for that, and that's their ace in the hole. The problem is that there's a lot of comps that beat that Sombra comp right now. Like pretty much any comp that spreads out beats that Sombra comp. The Sombra comp wins because goats, everybody's close together, so you get the most out of that ultimate. And so like that's why you saw him struggle against Houston games 1 through 3. So like Sabiobi's an interesting one. I do think they're going to be playing him, and that's what they're going to do is just Sombra goats every time almost. Well, what do you think?
Well, I don't know if they're going to be playing him every single week as well. It seemed very much that I think you can make a decent case that they prepared hardcore for London this week. Didn't really prepare for Houston, and that's why they looked a little bit more shaky versus Houston running a brand new comp.
But did they look shaky against Houston? Like as
They went
soon
three
as-
and they went 3-2. Like I
Well,
would
like-
count that as shaky.
Okay, well, think about it. Houston's just been running goats. Like, despite everybody yelling at them, that's what they've been doing. And so when Houston did run goats, map 4 and 5, Sabiobi and their Sombra goats destroyed them 2 maps in a row. When, like, their different weird comps before that, like where we saw Jake Rat come back, that's what they weren't prepared for. So I don't know that they didn't prepare. I just think they figured Houston was still going to keep running goats.
I would say that if we're looking though between like which matches, that they really prepared for, I think it's easy to say that they like came with a set strategy for that London game because they absolutely dismantled.
Definitely.
I would
But
say
They
Well-
absolutely but that's what I keep trying to drive home. London ran goats all 4 maps. NYXL ran Sombra goats all 4 maps. Sombra goats wins in that matchup if the Sombra play is extraordinary. So that's what I'm trying to get to, because like when Houston played goats, Sabiobi and them just ran them over for map 4 and 5. I mean, it was a stomping.
from a fantasy perspective, I don't really know how much to trust it just because we don't know how much they're going to actually play this comp. I think at this point they're developing it and they're trying to make sure it's good so that when they get into that situation where they're playing San Francisco or Vancouver or like even Seoul again, that they have another strategy they can work with rather than just staying with goats 100%. I don't know if it means they play it every week though. I don't know if that makes Sabiobi fantasy worthy.
I just feel like that's an NYXL move. They're like, we're going to do this one that's proved to be really good. Sombra goats has proved to be really good against goats when played extraordinarily well. And I think NYXL is just going, we're going to be the Sombra goats team, period. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, it will be interesting for sure to see if Sabiobi does kind of stay in there because I mean you put
And
Sabiobi
Sabiobi gets kills too. He plays a weird style.
He does get kills, but you're also taking out arguably one of the best diva players in the league at the same point.
Definitely, which is definitely weird. And there are rumors that he was sick.
So
just rumors though.
Yeah, who knows? Now, what about the 2 people I want to talk about really is Hailey from Seoul and Gods, my bald savior.
I think Gods is, I would say out of the entire crop of this, Gods is probably the most consistently. If I had to make the take right now, I would say Gods is the only one who I would feel comfortable consistently starting. We know that Seoul is right now at least experimenting with these dual rosters that they want to field, but they did this in stage 2 as well, where they started off doing that the first couple weeks of the season, the first couple weeks of the stage.
Do 2 separate rosters though. Like we have to like point out, this is weird and hasn't been done before in the Overwatch League. They literally played two separate teams on two separate days in the same week. Now, that's horrible for fantasy, because what about those weeks that, if they keep this going, what about those weeks where there's only one game? Which team is playing? That's a huge guess.
When I know, like, a bunch of us, for like, once we found out what the starting lineup was, we like all were immediately switching Jae-Hong out of our unlimited leagues just so that we could get somebody else in there.
That's a pro tip you could give right there.
Yeah, check Twitter. Like, usually they'll give roster lineups. Well, not every team will, but it's never a bad idea to check roster lineups on Twitter before the game start, just so you know at the last second if you need to switch anybody out if somebody's sick, because Jae-Hong still put up decent points in the one game he was in, but he was only in one game.
Yep. And that actually takes us perfectly into our next topic, is the teams, mainly the Dynasty. Let's just say that. Mainly the Dynasty did a lot of experimenting in stage 3, week 1. As in, you can't trust anyone on that team at this point, besides... No, you can't even trust anyone. So
literally anyone.
So
two separate rosters.
Exactly. Like, Ramses, why don't you get into some of the experimentation and all that fun stuff that occurred in stage 3, week 1?
Sorry, I'm reading Totem trolling us on Twitch right now. So the primary experimentation that happened was that the Dynasty, like we're saying, tested out 2 separate rosters in each game. So game number 1 was Fisher, Michelle, Fleta, Fitz, Hiley, and Toby against the Mayhem. Which, as somebody who finally is on the Ryu Jae-Hong train, having to all of a sudden switch him out for your first game of Unlimited was a bit of a mind bender. And then game 2, they had completely different lineup with Marvel, Zunba, Munchkin, Illicit, and Ryu Jae-Hong, and Jesse, or Jexy. Totem will kill me for saying it wrong. And they beat the Charge 4-0. And we saw that this is a little bit different because their primary stage 2 lineup was Marvel, Michelle, Munchkin, Fitz, Jae-Hong, and Toby. Like, we hadn't seen Fisher at almost all of stage 2. We didn't see Fleta almost all of stage 2. And now them running 2 completely separate rosters, I don't know how much to read into it, if I'm being honest, because we have to remember they played 2 lower level teams. It'd be different if they brought in if they were running 2 separate rosters and they played like 2 competitive teams this week, but they played Florida and
you make a good point.
Guangzhou.
We don't know that they're going to this going. I just and it's very possible they're not going to keep it going.
No,
but I just saw the potential this week. If someone could afford 6 starters, holy shit, could own the freaking league. And then I think on top of the 12, you could even have 2-way players just in case.
Or, I mean, you could be London where you buy 2 separate rosters and then halfway through you go, get rid of half of them.
Well, and they were mix and matching them and doing all kinds of weird stuff with them. Like, this 2 separate rosters is crazy weird. And I think London, if they did it, they only did it once in season 1, early on stage 1.
Now, like, one of the things is that I think they talked about this on the actual post-game show is, how, we're praising them now for changing it up. Changing up their teams, changing up their squads and whatnot. And then, it worked out fine, so we're not harassing them. But in 3 weeks, if it doesn't work out, we're gonna chastise them for not actually sticking to one lineup.
Well, the benefit they have is that they actually get a much easier stage this stage. Because in stage 2, they had to play Vancouver, Gladiators, Vancouver, back to back. And then this one, their schedule so going forward is going to be them versus Atlanta, then against the Shock, then against the Spark, then Eternal, and then Hunters. Only one, as of today, because I don't have the faith in the Reign yet, only one elite team in the rest of that lineup. So I think that they may actually continue to experiment with this, but I don't know how long they would go for, because they started the stage 2 doing this as well, and then didn't really weaned it out, and then didn't bring it back up until they put in alternate roster for map 1 against New York, and then flip the entire roster back for the rest of the game. If I'm correct here. I don't know. I think it's really cool, but I don't know how much they're going to continue to do it. I think we hear some people who are super excited about it. I know, Bob, you're very excited about like the potential of it. I know Wolf on the desk is like super confident. Apparently this is going to be the strat they run for the rest of the games, but I don't know. I have a hard time putting 100% confidence in it. It reminded me last week.
And you definitely shouldn't have 100% confidence. Yeah. I'm just saying it's fun to think about these things, and it's something that I think NYXL would do. What did they do last season? They took Dive and they made it theirs. And they made it theirs in a different way than everybody else was running Dive. They were running a defensive Dive. And now they're going to run Sombra with an offensive Sombra. It's kind of exciting storyline that could be starting up right now.
Nope, I completely agree with you. It could be interesting, but like you said, we just don't know what they're going to do. They could do anything going forward, and
you can do anything.
That's the most frustrating thing ever when it comes to fantasy. You're just like, oh, come on. It's like the running backs by committee crap. Like, nobody likes running backs by committee.
That killed everything, yeah. It was just like, ooh.
Oh, God. Killers. Damn it. So, hopefully, like, I don't think you can like, I'll say this right now. You cannot safely start a single player on Dynasty, and you cannot start Sebiobi or Meko at this point safely in any one of your leagues. None of them are droppable because we don't know what's going to happen, but none of them are startable, and that sucks. Especially this week if you're in a raw scoring league, because Soul plays two decent matchups this week, but you can't play any of them.
What did Sebiobi even get as Sombra?
Not a lot.
Game? Yeah, I mean, I don't think
he got
Sombra really just gets that much.
So he got like an okay amount of points, like
not over 150.
Not
right?
notable.
Now, like, one game, his highest scoring game was 93 points.
Oh,
yeah, combined was 179.
Well, that's because they just rolled London.
Yeah, they rolled London, and he didn't play all 4 maps in the previous one because I think Meko came in for 1 map.
Yeah, they had Meko on for map 1 and then put SPB in.
And that's why you can't trust him. Like,
but he played 4 maps actually, because he played for maps 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And he scored 179 combined points.
No, he's not startable. I agree.
He's not startable at this point. If he starts every map from here on out, sure, he is worth a spot start. But pick him up if you can in your league.
I think we're all in agreement, unless the meta shifts. If you're picking him up now, you're picking him up for a maybe payoff in the future, and it's a dicey one. So
yeah,
I don't think it's good for anybody.
Yeah. Now, Ramsey's one more that I want to talk about, because I think we're going to skip over the Torontos, because I think we're all kind of probably in agreement that Shuriken Gods are just good.
Yeah, Shuriken Gods are most likely going to be.
We do have to give an honorable mention to poor Gods being staggered more than any diva in a long time, and it was like hey buddy, welcome to the Overwatch League. You know, kind of like a new quarterback that just keeps getting sacked throughout an entire game. Like, he was getting staggered hardcore. But yeah, he played well.
Now,
unstagger better.
Now, what
they're
about...
probably messing with him harder because it was his first time.
And he's been around forever, so he knows literally everyone in professional Overwatch. But the one I want to get your guys' opinion on is the Chengdu Virtual Insanities starring Jamiroquai. Jamiroquai. So Chengdu gave Jamiroquai playtime, and the Hunters basically lost their identity. What do you think that means for Chengdu going forward?
I think it's fine. I mean, like, We've seen them go DPS comps up against teams that have the balls to play DPS comps back, and oftentimes they end up winning. So Chengdu's strategy was to do something weird against goats, but like playing it against, mere comps, it's not proved to be as good. So, I mean, if they could get something different going, why not?
I mean, the only ones that have any sort of notable scores right now are Kyo, who had 282 for combined and 173 for single game, and then Jinmu with 262 for combined and 160 per game. But again, to me, those are the only people you were ever going to start out of Chengdu anyways, and those are the ones that aren't necessarily going to be switched out in the roster. I think not bummer, but what I'm more concerned about is I think that people have finally figured out the Chengdu strat. Or I think the code has been cracked. We've seen enough tape on it that it's not as much of an issue. It's not as hard to fight.
You mean Hamster and Pharah?
Hamster, Pharah, Hanzo, like every time.
Don't forget Mercy.
Yeah, and Mercy.
Well, and then they can move to goats, and at this point, their goats is just not worth. Like their goats does not have the same like capability. I don't know. I think that they've been figured out. If I had to call it right now.
Okay, that's totally off topic, so I'm not even going to say it. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you can totally go off topic. I give you permission as the
this
host of this show.
I want Houston to run the Clockwork Vendetta strat.
Yes, we were talking about
I want them to run it every map, like every single one. I want them to watch tape on them, and I want them to just do it and see what the... I almost did it. What the heck they're doing. Like, I just totally lost my train of thought. But, like, I wonder how many Overwatch League teams would know what to do against it and like, properly fight Jake and Linkser. Linkser on Mei, Jake on Torb. Like, I would love to see this.
I would...
You could
at this point, what do you have to lose?
Like, when they do the 3 DPS comp, you could put Bonnie back on freaking Mercy.
And also, it's not like they have anything to lose at this point, just because your next couple games are... Who is it? Like...
And if you wanted to run their Widow version of it, you could have Linkser on Widow and then have Dante do Mei. And Jake still on Torb.
Or even Dante or Jake on Hanzo.
You just run single healer Bonnie on Mercy.
Think about it, Ed. They would take Raucus off of the map. Our chances of winning drastic go up.
Exactly.
It would be
no
cool.
Raucus
it would
means
be totally cool.
Yeah, no Raucus means higher likelihood of winning. That's a scientific fact.
Well,
Bill and I would agree.
If they're going to play Anna, I think they still play Raucus. If they're going to play the Anna Zen version, then they still played Raucus.
I do think, though, this is, if they were going to do anything, like, this is the stage for experimentation just because it is your easiest stage.
Yeah, and they could totally play Bonnie on Zen and Raucus on Anna for that comp.
Yeah.
I think it'd be sweet, dude.
It would be. Now, we do have some, not news about Houston, but, like, what everyone kind of thought was going to be coming up with them. They were purchased by the LA Valiant. So, like, that was rumored.
Immortals, the
parent company. So it was approved that for Immortals to buy them. Well, their whole company.
Stop getting your hopes up, Ed, about them coming.
But I'm not saying they're going to come here, but it moves them one step closer to selling to another team, another owner, and then they can, because they have to sell them to another owner.
Realistically, there's going to be nothing changing until...
Not for this season.
Not for this season. Maybe stage 4 if they sell them quick. Maybe.
Even then,
I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt.
When is the signing period over? Because I had thought last year, like, it ended like at the half season point. And then, like, when is is there even an end to the signing period?
I don't think there's an end to the signing period.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that either.
So, all right, let's move on to something else. We have ourselves a new Fantasy Overwatch League coming. That's something that me and Bob and Totem have actually helped test out with a guy by the name of Foul. I know, real clever with the name.
Is it with a U or a W?
Fowl, FOWL, Fantasy
I mean, like,
Overwatch League.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he likes birds. Maybe he likes birds.
FOWL. Okay, so now that Ramses is caught up with everyone else in the Fantasy Overwatch League community,
it's good you're pretty, Ramses.
Yeah, it's good you have your looks because the brains aren't there.
It's an audio medium. It's not like that's going to come
so
through
pretty.
anyway.
I'm sorry. Is there someone in the background doing laundry today?
No, thank goodness.
Okay, just checking. So we have the Fantasy OWL, the Gamers Game. It is a different take on Fantasy Overwatch. It is a daily league. So you will need to set teams for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not one for the entire week. And you can join as many leagues as you want. You can set up as many leagues as you want. The way it is you have a set amount of dollars. And each player has a set amount, like a set dollar amount each week. And you have to build a 6-person team. Now, you can have anywhere between 2 to 3 DPS, 2 to 3 tank dealers, and then you need 1 to 2 support players. So you can get 1 support player, 3 tanks, 2 DPS, so on and so forth. Any variation. So you're going to be running 6 of these. Now, when we've been testing it, it's actually been quite fun because it gives you a sense of progression. So you have different levels that you rank up to play, and then you get different rewards at each level. You earn like little coins where you can purchase like skins or stuff like that while you play. The more you win, the more tournaments that you're in. And this is more of a, okay, I get to play today's matchups, or I get to play, I think one of these games this week, Totem picked Highly to play, and he cost $4 when Bedosian cost $26. So you kind of hunt for those bargain deals because you can't, I think you only have $60 to work with to build 6 people. So if one person's $26, you have to go real cheap the rest of the way. So it's a lot of min-maxing. It's a lot like if any of you have ever done the daily football leagues or anything like that, it's the exact same thing. Now it's not quite live yet.
Pretty cool though, how he's gamifying the game. Like it's a mini game inside of the fantasy game, and I thought that was a really neat idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now Totem said in chat, because Totem's in chat harassing us instead of hosting here, that it's $100 for 6 players. So even $25, $26 for Bedosian, that goes quick. So
is it dollars? Is that the currency?
Yeah, it's like our 100 points or whatever. It's fictional, but you can set up your own leagues. You can join public leagues. You can join private leagues. You can have up to 50 people at a time. You can even set up 1v1 leagues. So let's say me and Ramses want to do a week-long bet. We can set up a 1v1 daily league just for that week for me and him.
So when is he getting his gambling license? Because this sounds fun.
It's tricky because if you're betting actual money, he has to be based out of a state that legally allows it. So like DraftKings and stuff like that is based out of New Jersey, and New Jersey was the state that first took the Supreme Court the law about legalized online gambling or sports betting and won. And that's kind of the trickle down effect that all the states now, because it was ruled legal, so now all the states are slowly proposing it and passing it because now it's so much more money. So that is something that he could possibly do in the future. He can't right now, I don't think, for legal reasons. And there's a few more bugs that he has to work out with this website.
Definitely. I'm just saying, I just had a vision right there. I just had a vision.
Oh yeah, no.
But you also couldn't involve money if the Overwatch League doesn't put out proper stats. You would have to make games pushes.
You would have to
when that happens.
You would kind of have to, and that's something that's a little tricky. That's more on Overwatch than us, or than this site. But he says he does plan on doing some form of currency with this down the road, but he cannot do that right now. And he's working out bugs. Like right now, Gmail is colliding with the site, so you can't log on with a Gmail account. So it's...
Well, I mean, the site's not even active yet. We're in a beta test.
Yeah, we're in a beta test right now, but I'm very excited about this. It seems like a crazy amount of fun. It's not being rushed out there.
Okay, I also really like... It was it was a small touch, but they have like custom, like, I don't know how built out it is, but I saw the graphic for it as like custom profile logos, and they like redid all the logos in like their own art style, which I thought was really interesting. But you could definitely tell who was who. But it was definitely way different. And like I thought that was pretty interesting.
Just short of copyright infringement.
Yeah, whoever their artist is, I loved it.
Yeah. No, it was brilliant. Now we're getting Ramses into this. I hope to... I've been talking to the guy who runs it, Foul. I'm hoping to get him on the show sometime soon, so we can really rack his brain about all this stuff. Kind of like what we did with Soul Drink. When we first started this podcast. But this is something I'm very excited for because it could draw in a bigger crowd. Because like there's fantasy, like in traditional sports, let's look at fantasy football. There's fantasy football, which is the most popular right now. But the thing making people the most money is daily. And it's not even close.
Well, and Ed, you have to think about this. Like what we've seen with Standard over this time is just think about all... Okay, so in the NFL, if you're doing fantasy there, right, there's something called the injury report. And, like, even if someone's sick, they're put on there, and you get at least some warning. Like, there's questionable, there's probable, and there's these different levels that like, okay, it's really not safe to play them. But, like, this week, Kellex just doesn't come out. Kellex has played, like, every freaking game since the start of stage 2, and all of a sudden Kellex just doesn't come out, and there's no warning for that in this type of thing. So that's why I think Standard really suffers. That's why Unlimited is good, but even daily, like you would have had a chance to play a different person that next day instead of being hosed for 2 games. You know what I mean? Like, it's because those types of things.
When me and Totem first went in on Friday and we both, like everyone in our little like beta league put in Aim God, and we're like, crap in a cracker, stupid Persia, I hate you. But then we all lost out, but like none of us started Izayaki and stuff like that, so it punishes you less and more at the same time in daily. Now I agree with you, Bob, we need 100% more influence and cooperation with the Overwatch League, as far as, like you said, injury reports or just putting out rosters an hour before the match. That's the other team knows who's starting an hour before because they have to have that turn in. Why not make that public? Or why can't we get a little bit more support when it comes to getting the actual stats put out there? Like, these are things we need.
I'm not positive that the Overwatch League and the broadcast knows who's playing, but I'm not positive the coaches on the opposite teams get to know who's playing on each side.
But I guess why not?
Well, I think part of that as well is like that would only come with like an official partner. Like with the official Overwatch League app, because I don't think anybody, I don't think like an outside third party service is going to be able to get that kind of information. Unfortunately,
I'm just wondering here. I feel that Overwatch League has a partnership with a certain large-eared mouse friend named Mickey, who also owns ESPN. It's like they have a giant fantasy network on their website.
Actually, Mickey is currently riding the bench for the Dallas Fuel. I'm sorry to break the news to you.
Yes, but Mickey on the Dallas Fuel is not a mouse. So yeah, you fail. But I mean, they could get ESPN involved with all of this, and that could make it legit. But ESPN would require them to have some form of injured reserve, some sort of we need to know who's starting beforehand. Which honestly, an hour's notice is plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like we were saying, that's how we all like switched J-Hog out of our starting lineups for the week.
Exactly. And then the thing is though, in Unlimited, it wouldn't have hurt you because he played in the next map. Like, he still played this week in their screwed up Soul Dynasty lineups. But we're off track. This Fantasy Overwatch League, the Gamers Game, we don't know when it's going to be released. Hopefully sometime soon. When that happens, you will 100% hear about it from us, and we will 100% try and get the creators of the website on with us to rack their brain and ask them any questions and stuff like that. So definitely,
and I'll mention it on Al Recap, and I'm sure Ramses will mention it on Push the Point too. Like, we'll get the word out for sure.
Yep. So definitely keep an eye on that. We'll be promoting it. So next up, let's talk about one of the non-broken systems in Fantasy Overwatch League.
And one that Bob keeps up with the most, for sure.
Yes. And let's talk about unlimited drafts. So our unlimiteds. As your current Season 2 champion, Bob. Bob, we'll start with you.
All right.
What is going to be your unlimited lineup this week?
So for DPS, I'll go with Sinatra. They're playing Houston for one of their matches. Sinatra from the Shock, if anybody doesn't know.
I was confused.
For the second DPS, I'll go with Decay. The Gladiators get to play Washington. And both those teams play 2 games. All right, now harder choices for support. I'm gonna say okay, I should have looked at this. Man. No. Blanket, I'm gonna go to tanks. So for tanks, I'm gonna
Support's the easiest one though.
Yeah, well, I'm blanket bad. Supports, I'm gonna go. Yeah, no, I'm blanking here too. I'm just looking at the schedule. Like, I literally DPS just jumped out at me. Why don't you help me out, Ramses?
I have mine. So I actually decided this week to pick. I'm at the spot. I'm like 11th or 12th in both the leagues I'm in for unlimited. That if I want to move up to the top of the leaderboard and graze the ground that Ednar walks on, I need to maybe try a different strategy than what I've been doing.
You are not worthy.
So of course Sinatra is my starting DPS, and then I thought, who's somebody who's in like the top 5 pretty consistently for combined and best points for DPS.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm so excited.
Play this week.
They play. Let me check.
Here, just tell me, and I'll tell you, because like literally, I was just looking at the schedule
It's the King, dude. I'm putting Baby Bay in as my other offense.
Okay, so Baby Bay plays Seoul and Houston, so good. Yeah, good call too.
Baby Bay puts up crazy numbers, even though he throws away as many grabs as he does. I think so. Yeah, Baby Bay,
that doesn't
Sinatra,
matter in fantasy. Throwing away grabs does nothing.
Violet and Dogman as my 2 supports.
Why did I not think Violet?
I also put Twilight as my captain for the other support.
See, Dog though has a pretty tough schedule in Seoul and Shanghai though.
He had a way tougher schedule with Shock and Titans that put up giant numbers.
I can't argue with that. I'll shut up now.
And then the other, so tanks were kind of a crapshoot this week, at least from my perspective. Ed, tell me if I'm wrong, but it really seemed like we didn't get like the massive tank numbers that we've been used to getting, especially from off tanks. In fact, when I looked, granted this is with the high noon programs, but when I went, I think that the number 1 tank for this last week, as far as like best, is Super. So it'd be Super and then Finzi. And then for combined...
Okay.
Am I looking at something different?
You're looking at individual, not raw. But yes, you're right.
Yeah, for Finzi and then Super. And then when I go to Raw...
Got top pick for like tank?
For individual, for best one game.
Yeah, he had 153 points in one game.
And then for combined, it's Finzi with 275 and Dako with 248, which are the two players I picked for my tank line this week. I feel like Dako usually puts up pretty good numbers. Finzi put up really good numbers this last week. Granted, they didn't play great teams, but I'm hoping the luck holds for one more week just to see if he continues to put up huge numbers. So that's my team. Twilight, Sinatra, Dogman, Violet, Baby Bay. I'm out of order. And then Dako and Finzi. Eddie, what about you?
I kind of have a mishmash of a lot of these teams. So for my DPS players, I went with Decay and then Suiminsu. He's just so consistent that it's hard for me not to play Suiminsu. Because I know he's playing 2 games and I know he's going to do good in at least one of them. I went with Dogman because as much as he is the worst feeder in the Overwatch League,
The boy gets points.
he gets fantasy points.
He does have the most E limbs and killing blows.
Yeah, so he is Blake Dogman Bortles of the Overwatch League. He is as a player, but great fantasy points. So I'm going with Dogman. I went with Shaz as my number 2 support.
When you can't go wrong with Shaz
Nope.
either. It's literally just like you're picking between like so many good players.
Yeah, and then I went with, as my tank line, I went with Janu as one of my tanks just because skill. He's the best diva in the Overwatch League. And again, he has 2 matchups to have 1 good game. And then Dako. Like, Dako has silently been like the top diva in the past like 3 weeks of actual Overwatch League play. So Janu, Dako. And then in my captain's pick, I went with the god himself. Aim God. Yes, he didn't play 1 map, but I think that was more of a, hey, let's see what we can do here with Persia. Oh, wait, no,
Against
let's put in
London,
Aim God.
though?
But
Against London? Like, that's the weird part about it. Like, I agree with you that that's the philosophy, but I also think it's just weird that, like, why would you, like, it's against London. Like, it's a good team.
Yeah, and
like,
I mean, he came in the second map and dropped 168 points. So, yeah, I'm not going to complain about that. He just needs to play 1 series, and then he's golden. So, that is my lineup. Hopefully, it pans out. Decay is someone I've always had so much high hopes for, but he's never been one of those, like, top 3 players. He's, like, right on the brink of being one of those top end players. Like, he's one of the best actual players in the league, but he's not on the fantasy point level of Suiminsu, Nene, Sinatra.
Baby Bay.
No.
I
am anti-Baby Bay. Like, he puts up a lot of fantasy numbers, but man, he is just not good. He's not good.
Baby Bay. I just want you to meet Baby Bay. He is infectious.
I know he's probably one of the nicest people of all time.
It's not even. He's nice, but not like overly nice. I don't. He's infectious. He really is. He says the craziest things. I can't even explain it. But like, if you met him, you'd be like, "Oh, I like you, dude."
I do love that there was an entire Ateo video that just had to cement the fact that yes, Baby Bay does have sex. So.
Okay, Ramsey's coming in with the information we didn't need to know.
You've seen the Freaky Friday video, right? Where like they like go to his room and he like wakes up. There's like a girl next to him in the bed, and he's like wearing his like Ateo jersey and everything.
Okay, this has officially gone more off the rails than I thought we would. We are talking about Baby Bay's sex life at this point.
I have not seen that at all.
So, all right, we're gonna move on. Because I'm the
good
weird host.
I'm the weird one. We didn't talk about inserting liquids or anal anything when that. Okay, all right.
That's just science.
I'm just gonna call a pause here, And we're moving on.
We're moving on. All right, let's go to our last segment of the week, and that's our pick'ems. So stage 3, week 1 pick'ems, week 2 pick'ems. Sorry, Totem. Way to screw up the notes. Trying to throw me off. Ramses, why don't you go through some of the pick'ems this week?
Dude, okay, come on here. Totem has some of the best notes.
I know, but I have to throw him
But
under
this
the
one
bus.
time.
This one time, I have to throw him under the bus.
Like Mel has really good notes too, but they're different notes for like a different show. But Totem's got some pretty freaking sick notes. Like, let's give credit where credit is due.
You guys have seen
Sorry
mine,
for
I just
the
throw them
off
together,
track.
so it's not.
All right, Ramses.
Bob, I want really quick, Bob. I want your tier list of Overwatch podcasters' notes from S all the way to F. Go right now.
I do think it's pretty slick that Ja always sends them out as a PDF.
Already in the doghouse, you didn't put the wife first. Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake.
The
Alrighty.
wives is really just like, for our recap, is just like basically a stat sheet that puts the information you need to see in a really good, like I actually use her notes for this show too, because it just comes a day after, and it's just like big winners of the week, big losers of the week.
All right,
somewhere
so
in the
here's
middle,
the
and
key
it's just
question.
it's just like basically a stat card that you could easily reference instead of going to 17 different sites over here on your other browser.
Okay, so you have Ja at the top, not your wife.
Right.
Next up, your wife or Totem?
Mel.
Mel's
Definitely
above
Mel.
Totem. Okay, then who's
Yeah.
next?
But
Oh.
it's
Oh!
basically it's the formatting and like what she does in her regular job. Like she could basically just like put different columns and everything. I mean, it's really, she goes a little above and beyond. Everybody that comes on the show is like, what are these notes? But
I was confused as well when I read them.
Oh, I didn't even look at the notes. I just go on your show and argue with Mel.
But like
That's all I
Totem
do.
Totem puts like a good script together, which probably helped you out tonight, because like it helps me out every time. Like you literally just go through, and it's I mean it's a really good script. So it's just different styles.
You should have seen when I used to host my Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast. My show, I was in charge of the show notes.
Wait, hold on. You played Star Wars Galaxies?
Galaxy of Heroes, I still do to this day.
Oh no, I
know-
thought you were talking about Star Wars Galaxies, the MMO.
Oh yeah, no, this is the mobile game.
So speaking of games, the
Yeah,
game
let's
between the
get off
Atlanta
of this.
Reign and the Shanghai Dragons.
Oh, see,
So,
there's Ramses with the comeback.
Good call, Ramses.
So
Don't have to mute you now. Wait, how do I mute Bob?
my mom's not in the background, so. So Thursday's game that we're covering, Atlanta Reign versus the Shanghai Dragons. Ed, what are you thinking?
Shanghai. And the only reason I say this is Atlanta is the new Philadelphia Fusion. They play up to they're the Fusion from season 1. They play up to who they're playing against. They're never that much better than the other team. They just play up to them. So
I would agree, but I think they're really starting to pick it up, and I think Baby Bay is starting to get more comfortable. And you saw when he threw away all the grabs first game this last week, and then didn't throw away nearly as many grabs in the next game. You know they're trying to coach him. You know he's got the mechanical skill, and so I think that Atlanta really has a chance to win this. I think Atlanta really has a chance to win.
To me, this is a coin flip match. Because they're both in that 6 to 8-9 range of teams.
But I think you're right. I think they are definitely the Philadelphia of this season so far.
Yeah, because like they'll take the Titans to town, or that New York Excelsior,
Or be the only person to beat NYXL.
and then go to
almost
Matt.
lose to Florida.
Yeah, almost lose to Florida the next week. Like
Lose to Valiant.
what?
Like,
What are you doing? Like they show no consistency, and I think Atlanta concentrates a lot on 3-3, and Shanghai could just throw some weird shit at them. So
I just,
it's a coin flip. You could go
So
either way. I'm just gonna go Shanghai.
I agree with Bob's sentiment that like I really hope this is them like taking the leap forward. I think we just need one more week to see if that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, or maybe not even. I think we need a stronger matchup, like one more, just to see if that's true. It'll like them beating like another good team, but then also like soundly beating another bad team, which I think that would make that a little bit better. I'm gonna pick Atlanta for this one just because I think Atlanta has a little bit more of a variety of comps they can play. We know that Shanghai can't really play the straight goats v goats. They do have their Sombra goats, and that's about all they can really run besides multi DPS comp. So I think that Atlanta's going to take the momentum they have and then translate this into a win, but I think it'll be close. I think it'll be 3-2 because what is Atlanta without a close game? That shouldn't be close for no reason. The next game for Friday would be Boston Uprising versus the Houston Outlaws. And Bob, you're married to an Outlaws fan, so what's the feeling like inside the house for Friday's game?
I don't know what Mel's feeling like. We haven't talked about this game, but honestly, I really just Boston is a pretty heavy goats team, and I don't think they're as good of a goats team as New York. I really think if Houston watches the tape last week and just decide to go buck wild and play weird shit, I think Houston wins this game. And I would love to see them finally grow some balls. Like, everybody's getting fired at the end of the year. You guys are getting sold. Everybody's getting sold. What do you have to lose, Flame? Just do it. Tell the coach, do it. I think it would be fun, and I think they actually beat the Boston Uprising, who have been struggling as of late.
I'm right there with you. I think that if they can play their variable comps, I think they have a way better shot of winning this game. I don't remember how vulnerable they are to Sombra goats, especially since that's also I see Ed's
They're only vulnerable to Sombra, as we saw with NYXL, who played Sombra goats against them for 5 maps. They're only vulnerable to Sombra goats when they play goats.
You would think they would have learned by now. Ed, do you have an opinion on this game? I know you're a passionate
idiots.
anti-outlaw fan.
You're both idiots. Just gonna throw that out there. The Outlaws will get crushed.
Did your mom ever tell you, can't say something nice? Don't say anything at all.
Yeah, they told me that, and that's a load of crap.
You're like, forget that.
Yeah, no, that's not me. No, there's no way the Outlaw are winning this matchup. They suck too much. Like, and I know I rip on the Outlaws as much as anyone, but it's proved me wrong.
Let's do a bet.
All right.
You actually got him to do it. Wow. Okay.
If Houston doesn't play goats, they win. That's my bet.
Okay.
If Houston doesn't play goats,
whoa.
Okay, so if they play goats more than 20% of the 4 to 5 maps, and we'll have to judge that kind of like together, but like if they play weird comps, they win. That's my bet. What do you want to put on the line?
Wait, so what's your bet? Is that Houston doesn't play goats and wins? So it's like
no.
Two.
If Houston doesn't play goats, yes, there is 2 variables. If Houston doesn't play goats the majority of the time, they win the game.
So just so I get clarification here, for starters, Houston has to win, regardless of what they play. One, they have to win.
For me to win, they have to win.
They have to win, and they can only play goats 20% of the time.
Yeah, so if they do play goats and they win, I will still, like, the bet would be a push. Like,
I'll give you 2-1 on that.
Won my bet.
No, let's not go to. Let's just go head to head. Do you want to just go for a skin, in-game skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
You have to buy the Junkrat Dallas Fuel skin and never take it off ever again.
Okay.
And you stream. I'll be watching you.
you have to wear the Reinhardt Outlaw skin and never take it off.
It's the biggest and most visible skin. That's why all the Reinhardt ones are the best one.
That's harsh.
Okay, I'm not going to do Reinhardt. Monkey.
All right, Monkey.
Monkey, I know you're a Reinhardt main, so I'm not going to make you do that because that would be embarrassing. But deal.
All right, so boys and girls, you heard it here first. If Houston wins and plays goats 20% or less of the time, then Bob wins the skin bet. If they play more than 20% goats and or they lose, Ed wins the bet.
It doesn't even matter if they play if they take 2 games
And
as goats,
yeah,
I win. Win or lose, I win.
Well, and no, 20%. That would be more than 20%.
Yeah, I know. I win.
One game of 5 maps would be 20%.
Well, yeah, but if they play
one game of 4 maps would be 20%.
But they
25.
All right.
But
either way, I'm gonna win.
Like, yeah, well, but it could also push pretty easy because if Houston plays goats the whole time, the whole bet's off. The bet only counts if Houston is actually playing.
Okay.
The other comps.
All right. We got this bet underway. We will get back to you this week. Let's move on to the next game because, well, as I say on every single podcast I'm on, we're running a little long.
Are we? It's like an hour into the show. Like we've got like oodles of time.
We're actually doing really good on time. So
really? We started late because Ramses was late.
Yeah. I'm just watching my audio recording, and I know we started it like a good 5 or 10 minutes before the show. We just hit an hour. So,
okay. All right, let's move on to the next
Ramses, what's the next game?
Next game of note would be the Guangzhou Charge versus the LA Valiant. Eddie, are you going to finally come back to your Valiant roots and finally think they're going to win?
I do think they're going to win. They've kind of turned things around. They won. They had their first 4-0 match last week. They're right now stage 3, better than the Gladiators.
Fiction definitely had his better cameo on a new team than Fate did.
Yeah, so I like the new Valiant, and it's not like the Charge are all that special. Like they're not playing a top tier team; they're playing a bottom 6 team. So I think the Valiant can come out and win this one pretty well. I'm going to be interested to see if they stick with Kariv over Izayaki again. That's going to be. I think they do too, but it will be something to keep an eye on, for sure. So I'm going to go Valiant on this one, probably 3-1, possibly 4-0.
I think so as well.
Yeah, I can't disagree. The Charge have just not found their place. Like when San Francisco finally locked their roster, like they just haven't done that. And they keep trying out new people. So
yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think LA wins 3-1, maybe 3-1 at the worst. And then Sunday's game, San Francisco Shock versus the Seoul Dynasty. Bob, you're a big advocate for the dual roster strategy that Seoul ran this last week. Do you think we see it again this week versus the Shock?
So Seoul does have 2 games. I think if they go with the same model that they're doing, that they're just going to play the 2 different rosters on the two different days. So I think they would throw San Francisco through a loop if they were like, first game, this roster. Second map, this roster. Third map, back to the first roster. Fourth map, back to the second roster. I think they would throw San Francisco through a crazy loop. But I don't think they would do that. So I gotta say, I think San Francisco pulls the win out on this one.
Ednar, any thoughts?
I mean, the Seoul can bring out whatever wonky comp they want. They're both running goats. Both their wonky comps are, or a different variation of goats, and that's all the Shock want to see. I don't think the Shock really care what Goats team they go up against because they know they're a better Goats team. So I think the Shock are going to probably dominate this one. As much as I would like to see a closer game, I think the Shock will probably pretty much run away with this one.
Seoul does have a tough week with Shock and going up against the Atlanta Reign, because Atlanta Reign has looked scary. They have to be scaring teams.
Yeah. Well, they scare teams. Atlanta scares teams at rank 1 through 19.
Just imagine if they still had DeFran. It would be sick right now, I think, dude. It would be sick.
DeFran was definitely more of a fan favorite and more popular person. Was he that much better than Baby Bay is right now?
Oh, okay. If we're just talking like
just those two
performance wise
is probably the best tracker in the Overwatch world. Like, he is probably the best at tracking in Overwatch across the world. That's even including Korea. On top of that, guy is like a savant at counting ults. Like, I watch him on his stream all the time, and he knows everybody's ult. Like, that's a huge thing to lose too. And then on top of that, he just energizes his team. Like, he just has a whole new level of what he can do. And I mean, you saw that with their over the roof graviton on Route 66. You know, like, you don't do that if you don't have someone like DeFran on your team. You know, Torb debuted as like a really good pick in the Overwatch League Season 2, DeFran. You know, like, he's just the X factor, and it's a bummer that he couldn't cope with.
I mean, argumentatively, they got better once he was off the team. Like let's be real. Like, in stage 1, they beat up on teams like the Mayhem, the Outlaws, and the Defiant, and Paris. They lost to everyone else. They lost 2 series to Philadelphia, who is not a good team. You know,
well,
they're really not.
Make that claim, but like,
they lost to Chengdu. They lost 4-0 to the Gladiators. Like, I'm not saying Baby Bay's better. I'm not saying Baby Bay's better than DeFran, because DeFran is better, but I don't think DeFran is that much better than Baby Bay to make that much of a difference. More interesting to watch. Yes, DeFran is much more interesting to watch than Baby Bay.
No, I'm a fan of Baby Bay, but DeFran is definitely better. DeFran, just the intangibles he brought to the team are nuts. And like, ult counting is one of the biggest things that is never talked about on the broadcast, but it's something that is so crucial to knowing what to do. Like, the game would be completely different if ults were shown on both sides. Like, there wouldn't be this need for someone with, like, it's an absurd brain power that you can use to be able to actually ult track. It is unbelievable that people can do it, and there's a very few people in the league that can do it, and most people don't do it well. They do it okay-ish. Like, lots of people watch their own class, and most teams don't have someone who ult tracks the entire other team.
Either way,
yeah,
I was just saying, either way, I think it'll be interesting to see how Atlanta continues to perform. I think that Baby Bay definitely has intangibles that don't get as much credit, being that he is more of like that team captain presence, like that's synergistic, like, hey guys, we got this, like, we're not going to get tilted, let's keep pushing. Like, he is like the heart of that team, at least from my observation. So I think it's just a difference in play styles, but we can go on about how, like, they lost to good teams, but also,
I would say Dog Bay is the heart of the team. Baby Bay is the mascot. That's the type of role that he plays. He just energizes people, makes people feel relaxed, makes people feel... That'd be what I'd say.
Also, we could complain about Atlanta losing games to like bad teams in the first stage, but they also lost games to the LA Valiant and the Guangzhou Charge with Baby Bay in as well. So I mean, I think that's just Atlanta in general. It's like it's that whole like thing that Dufresne made a joke about. Where it's like, oh, our strategy is like we feed or we F. Like either we're super bad or we're super good. So I think that's just, and that's why they're great fantasy points, because they either get like a billion points or they die really quickly so they can get back out there to get you more fantasy points.
Yep.
So
one thing before we close out the show that I wanted to point out, because I just didn't find the right time to bring it up this episode. Go out and pick up Kariv. Yes.
You're getting utility that's not fair right now.
Exactly. That's why you do it.
I'm agreeing with you 100%. Like
right now, Kariv is your starting flex support for the Valiant, but he is on HighNoon.gg an offensive player.
Well, he's an offensive player on the official OWL website as well.
Exactly.
Like they haven't fixed that.
So like you can start him as your second offensive player and get flex support numbers out of Kariv. So if you can go out and pick up Kariv, go pick up Kariv. Now.
It's a dastardly move, but do it before anybody else does.
I mean, I did it in 2 leagues. I don't care.
I'm doing it right now in the league that you're not in. So
yeah,
well, the league that you didn't do it in. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Are you the foul play league?
Yes.
Yeah, I would have had to drop Jinmu.
EQO's in the market if anybody wants them now.
I don't think anyone wants EQO at this point. Sorry.
Despite all EQO's rage, still just a brig in a cage.
Yeah. Now, all right. With the new jerseys, is EQO, because they'll probably wear them, and they're ref jerseys, is EQO technically the the biggest person in actual brig jail? With the new jerseys?
I mean, that makes sense. But, I mean, they're all in jail because they're all Foot Locker employees.
True. Which one of the new jerseys did you guys like the most?
Oh, God.
So, I mean, the one that touched my heart the most.
Just one.
That I liked the most, I think I got to go with the Mayhem one, just because they finally gave us the Vice colors. I like the neon detailing. I like the art on the back of it. It was cool. I really liked it.
Yeah. Bob, what about you?
See, well, I had to say Gladiators on our recap last night because Mel took NYXL, but I thought NYXL using their emblem with the picture of the skyline behind the emblem was really cool. But yeah, NYXL and the Gladiators I thought were the best. But what about the worst?
Oh, no. Hold on.
What's your best?
Let me blow your effing minds. The Houston Outlaws.
Telling you.
You're the same type of guy that would wear a Dragon Ball Z silk jersey.
Okay, I've never watched or played Dragon Ball Z, so that reference went nowhere with me. But I do love the old Astros. Like, I can still picture Nolan Ryan in his old Astros uniform pitching, and that is exactly what the Outlaws jerseys are.
Old doesn't always mean good. Look at the entirety of the 80s.
Yeah, when the Brewers had probably the best uniform in Major League Baseball.
I'm just talking about 80s style.
Okay. Because the Brewers logo in the 80s was so incredibly popular and sold so incredibly well in the 90s and the 2000s that they brought back the Brewers jerseys full time from the 80s. Just saying. So, no, if I actually like the Outlaws, I would actually buy an Outlaw jersey because I love the old Houston Astros jerseys. So that was my favorite. As far as least favorite, Dallas Fuel.
What a waste.
It's not that they're that bad. They're just like,
it wasn't the worst black on black.
It's the biggest waste of potential is the thing.
The best black on black thing that I thought that was the most worthless about it is it's the exact same jersey that they already have.
Just different colors.
Yeah. It's a recolor, Ed. It's a freaking shitty epic skin. It's not even a legendary.
Yep. No, it was horrible. Like I was like, oh, poor Dallas fans. But then I'm like, oh yeah, but you're Dallas fans. You're used to disappointment.
It does look good though. I mean, you can't argue with that.
Yeah. So
Looks good.
what was Dallas your least favorite, Bob?
Oh, not even close.
What was your least favorite?
The black on blacks weren't any of my least favorite. My least favorite was the San Francisco Shock.
Oh, that was horrible.
God.
You've never seen the Dudley Boys, have you?
I have.
Yes, I've seen the Dudley Boys, and it's stupid. Okay, like the San Francisco Shock camo has been out for so long now, and like this isn't even good camo. It just literally looks like it's an eyesore to look at, and like I really don't like it at all.
It's so counterproductive. Like coming from Wisconsin, a hunting state, you wear orange to not camo yourself.
Yeah, like okay, that's a big point of it too. It's like literally looks like somebody in like city camo, like got in a paintball fight, and they had orange paintballs.
Urban camo, please.
It's like
Sorry,
if a hipster decided to go deer hunting in northern Wisconsin. This is the kind of shit that they would wear and probably get shot.
Let's be frank about most of these jerseys. It was like nerds designing clothes. And we don't need this.
You're familiar with esports, right? I mean, that's kind of the deal.
Yeah, I'm like,
it doesn't need. We need to keep feeding it. Like, let's like hire some designers in here. Let's get some cool stuff going so people can look cool. You know, like on Push the Point. I was listening to that today while I was doing my driving errands, and they were talking about. Think about if you would wear this outside of an esports event or your team playing. If you feel comfortable wearing this to the grocery store, to someplace else, that's probably a good a well-designed jersey.
Okay. All right, Ramses, which one was your least favorite before we end the show?
It was the Dallas one. It's not even that it's bad. It's just that like it's the biggest waste of potential out of all of these because they have such cool iconography. You have all the stuff you could have done with Burn Blue. You could have even just done with the Valiant and the Gladiators all day, where they just took their logo, made it big, and made it like the far third of the jersey, and they didn't do that. So
you know what?
But both of you two could have went with a much uglier jersey.
But see, here's the thing:
like you would wear that Fuel jersey.
I would not wear that Fuel jersey.
If it was your team, you would wear that.
You know what? They could have gone a lot better and then gone with the traditional blue for the Dallas Fuel, but then had like the flames coming up from the side, like from the bottom.
Oh yeah. We talked about that on Owl.
And it could be a true dumpster fire. So
quick Ed, run Ed, let you have it in.
So that will be the end of our show for tonight. So the best way,
dumpster fire.
Yes. Ooh, awkward way to throw it down. I thought it went swimmingly.
That was a good show.
So the best way you can show support for the show is to leave us a review. Give us any of your feedback on any of your podcasting apps of choice, iTunes, whatever. iTunes is going away. They're using some different iTunes crap. Like they're breaking it off into podcast, music, movies.
The podcaster thing shouldn't be affected.
I don't know. So it will offer us insight in how we can make better listening experience for all of you. Ramses, why don't you tell us about this wonderful tool that Totem has been working on for a long while now?
For sure. So, of course, if you're familiar with Totem or just our entire network in general, you've probably heard already about OW Recall, which, in case by some weird methodology you don't know, it's a online listing of several Overwatch, just in general, Overwatch League, Path to Pro, variety content, just almost all Overwatch podcasts that you can find on our website at owlandshow.com/OW Recall. And episodic listings for all the shows that come out that week are released every Sunday night. So you just get the full list of all the Overwatch podcasts that came out that week. So you can pick through what you want to listen to and just keep up to date. And the best way you can really just follow along with it is on Twitter at OW Recall.
Fantastic. Now, I will say, coming up this Saturday, what is that, the 17th? 16th? 15th. I'm real bad with days. Coming up on this Saturday, the June 15th, Overwatch League Network, we are hosting our game night. So game night will kick off at 7 p.m. Pacific with custom game workshop modes, all that fun stuff. You get your shot to shoot me.
I've already said this last time.
Ed, how do we participate in that contest? Where should we go?
So you should join us in our Discord channel, and then you will be able to join us. Anyone's welcome. We invite all. If we have enough, we'll start 2 lobbies. We're going to do all sorts of fun games. They will be streamed live on our Twitch. You can get onto our Discord, and that's discord.me/OWLN show. So that should be fantastic. You can contact the show at contact@owlnshow.com. We are on Twitter, and that's at OWL by the numbers. We do have a website, and that's owlnshow.com. All our stuff, including all our podcasts and any videos that we come out with, are up on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We are streaming presently live on Twitch at twitch.tv OWLN Show. So we are Twitch affiliates, so help support the show by subscribing to our channel and earn our network emoticon. Our podcast network streams pretty regularly. Overwatch League Network airs Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. Tuesdays, this show, OWL by the Numbers, airs at 6 p.m. Pacific. And Heroes Never Die, the variety Overwatch show that Totem and myself do, is Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then host streams, when available, air on Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Me and Totem might have some surprises in store for our Monday streams. And then lastly, one of the best ways you can support us and help us out the most is we do have a Patreon page. So patreon.com/OWL Network. We recently launched our network's Patreon page for those who want to support our Overwatch network even further. Tiers start at just $1 a month. You too can join the likes of our Master and Above patrons, Blazing Bob, Brendan, Josabal, Jay-Z, and Owl, OWL, proper name, in helping our network grow. So special shout out to Owl for becoming our newest patron. And we all know what time it is.
Blazing Bob, where can they find you on Twitter?
No, I mute you both. Random question of the day. Random thought of the day. So this is actually true. The Rock is meeting with Marvel, Disney, to star in the upcoming Fantastic Four movies. Rumored to be about starring in those movies, but he admitted he has.
So he's going to be Thing?
The Rock is going to be playing The Rock. Now, here's my question. Do they waste CGI or do they just paint his body?
The problem is that the Thing is like so much. He's not just like a dude with rock skin. Like he's bulky. Like he's a big like creature.
Hi, Ramses, The Rock. Have you met?
No, but he's not like. He doesn't look like a wide kind of person. He doesn't look like he does look like an action figure. I think that they would go the prosthetic route. I don't think they go full CGI, or at least I hope they go the prosthetic route. And that'd be cool because they've shown they at least know how to direct people who are a little bit hammier in action roles. Like, I mean, who was Vin Diesel comes to mind. Granted, all he has to say is three words in every single one of his lines, but. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think they CGI him.
Over under how many times in the first Fantastic Four movie The Rock bottoms people?
I would say twice.
Okay, I was going to set it at 3. So you're going with the under. Bob, what about you?
Okay, so I actually have met The Rock. He almost ran me over in the late 90s at Kemper Arena in Kansas City.
Was this
And
this was before like massive steroid and workout use?
he was definitely a lot smaller, but he was still big. But yeah, I think whether you paint it on or I mean, it's going to be painted on regardless. It's going to be CGI, but I don't know that they need to go with the old school thinking of how Thing looks. Like they could just go with Rock's physique, and it would be pretty intimidating and a different take on the character.
All right. With that being said, you can contact me, Ednar, at Ednar Overwatch on Twitter. Bob, where can they reach you at?
You can find me on Twitter and everything that I do at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Ramses, where can they get a hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ramses_OW. And you can find the show that I do, Push the Point, at PushPointPod.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this shit show of an episode that we decided to put together without Totem. And I'm sure Totem will never allow me to run these things ever again. But I had a lot of fun, and thank you for joining us all. Have a good night.